Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lanore.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Golini.
I got it. How do you like that?
I like it. Nice.
I got to give a shout out today, okay? And I want to do it with you on the air too because you're big into family. So 26 years ago today, I was a younger man in the delivery room at Sunrise Hospital on Maryland Parkway in Las Vegas, Nevada, delivering my first child, Taylor Ariana Lanore. Today is her birthday 26 years ago. How do you like that one?
Wow. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Big day. Big day. Made me a dad. She made me a dad. She was my first child. So there you go. Happy birthday, Taylor.
That's awesome.
So, anything you want to talk about before we start talking about vitamin B3?
I guess I'm just, really thrilled with the response that we've had from the show with, emails, and I even got a phone call from a gentleman. So it's nice to know that people appreciate the information that we give. And, as always, if you have any suggestions or there's questions or things you'd like us to talk about, let us know.
Yeah, there's a banner on superhumanradio.com down at the bottom right-hand corner with a great picture of Dr. Jeff on it. It says, ask the scientist. You click that and you can submit your questions and it goes right to him. And no question, as you can see, we're talking about things that most people within the physical culture, nutritional community just assume everybody knows about, right? The simplest of vitamins. But the reality is that most people don't realize that some of the information about these vitamins could actually change your life and change the outcome of your health.
Well, exactly. And that's why, I thought it was important to really go back to the basics, the fundamentals. A lot of times in nutrition or food, we spend so much time talking about the latest, greatest, the newest, the sexiest product, and we forget about the basics. So many people buy something because they heard it on Dr. Phil, and then next week he talks about something else, and that goes in the trash, and it's kind of like a revolving door.
Right.
Where really, like anything, especially being an athlete, fundamentals, the basics are the foundation to health. So that's why I think it's very important as we are discussing these Bs.
It's funny you say that because last week the team and I decided that we were going to start going back and revisiting research that we talked about years ago, getting the author back on the show and going, now let's look back. Were we right? Were we wrong? Because the truth has no expiration date. And we are so quick to look for the science du jour that we forget to keep doing the things that we already know that works.
Well, and that's what becomes the problem a lot of times, is, we will learn something and it works, but then we'll hear some slick ad or some research that indicates we need to do something completely different. And again, there's nothing wrong with trying new things, but my goodness, the basics, the way our human body is built, there are things that are essential. There's a reason why amino acids are called essential, and there's a reason why our bodies don't produce these vitamins. We need to get them in on a daily basis. That's just kind of how it works. You wouldn't quit putting oil in your car because you heard some new ad about, some car wax. You got to keep with the basics.
So what is vitamin B3?
So
Dr. Jeff?
B3 is kind of, most people probably don't know it as B3. They would know it more as niacin or nicotinic acid. But I'll tell you, Carl, this is probably one of the most important B vitamins to our body of all of them. It's part of more than 50 metabolic processes within our body. But essentially, it's a B vitamin. It's water soluble, which means you have to take it in. Our body doesn't produce it. As I said, it's also known as nicotinic acid. And it was first discovered as an oxidation product of nicotine, and thus that's kind of where the name niacin came from, or nicotinic acid. But kind of a few really important things is that niacin, via its metabolites, are involved in a wide range of biological processes, which include the production of energy, the synthesis of fatty acids, cholesterol, steroids, single transductions, the regulation of gene expression, and the maintenance of the genomic integrity. I mean, so it's very, very important, all the things that it's involved in. I mean, 50 different processes. Isn't that amazing that, one vitamin does so many things or is involved with so many things?
Well, and interestingly enough, because, I always have to throw this in there because there's some people in the audience that if it doesn't do something for performance, they're not interested. It's an amazing ergogenic as well. In fact, it was originally supposed to be in the original Gatorade blend. Dr. Lewis Heiser, who was on the team of scientists that worked on the original Gatorade back in Florida, lives here in Louisville, and we talked about this. He said they had intended to keep niacin in it for three reasons. Number one, it keeps platelets from aggregating. It keeps the blood moving faster, more slippery. It's kind of like Slick 50 for blood, since you talked about oil a second ago. The other thing is it plays a large role in energy production. But more importantly, it causes a shift of substrate utilization because of the availability of fatty acids. We know that it plays a role in lipid metabolism, as you just said a moment ago. It causes a rise in growth hormone during exercise by suppressing the release of fatty acids into the bloodstream.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And, I think a lot of people who have tried it, niacin gets a bad rap because of the flush. I can't tell you how many people who have tried niacin and thought they were dying.
Yeah, right. I know.
I mean, remember the first time you tried it?
Yeah, you get itchy as hell.
Yeah, I remember going into the gym, and I was probably in my early 20s, and somebody told me about niacin, and I think they gave me like 1,000 milligrams or something. I mean, and all of a sudden, I'm just red. I'm flushing, thought I was dying, and, they're all laughing and said, "Oh, go take a drink of water." And of course, water will neutralize that. But I think that's one of the things that people get nervous is because of that. But, that flush, what actually is causing is the capillaries are expanding and they're basically growing. They're getting bigger. More blood is being brought through those capillaries. And our capillaries are where toxins are got rid of through the body, so it's very important.
Yeah. And talk about this is an important discussion too. So when we talk about niacin, we're talking about nicotinic acid or niacinamide. We are not talking about the potassium salt of niacin, which is called flush-free niacin. We've done shows on the niacin is the gold standard for cholesterol management that all statin drugs are compared to. Think about that for a second. All statin drugs aspire to lower LDL while raising HDL. Niacin does that. But it's not the flush-free niacin. If it doesn't cause a flush, it doesn't have the benefits to blood lipids.
Absolutely. The nicotinic acid is the pure niacin form. The niacinamide, which essentially doesn't cause much flushing, no, it doesn't work on cholesterol and energy, and neither does the non-flushing like the inositol hexaphosphate. They're all important agents, but when we're talking about niacin, we are talking about nicotinic acid. So we're going to kind of credit the other breakoff forms because those are important, but those aren't one of the main B vitamins. And you were talking about the drugs. You probably know that niacin is a prescription. It's kind of the basis behind a lot of the anti-hyperlipidemic agents, which are used for lowering cholesterol. Kind of crazy that, you go to the doctor to get a prescription for niacin when you can go buy it from the health food store.
Well, and the other thing is, since you've invoked that discussion, the niacin that doctors generally prescribe is not as good for you as the niacin you can buy at your local grocery store. And the reason for that is because the niacin that is by prescription is extended release niacin that is modified and is actually toxic to the liver. where you can buy extended release niacin at the grocery store that is created in such a way that it just breaks down slower in the body, and so it has the same effect. But I want to say it's called Niaspan. The stuff that doctors prescribe as Niaspan, it's toxic to the liver. Why take that?
Well, it's like anything. I mean, without getting onto a whole big pharma, they've always wanted to get into the dietary supplement range. I mean, we could go on for hours on that. I think we had a conversation one time. I mean, we're the experts in this field. I'm sorry, guys. You guys do a great job at drugs, but, this is what we do. We probably would do a terrible job if we tried to release drugs.
Yeah, right. Because we're too altruistic. We would end up giving things away. But the reality is that the niacin that we're talking about, you can buy at your grocery store for pennies, and it will give you all of these different benefits. How about we go ahead and take our break early, and we come back and we start talking about deficiencies and sources of niacin and all that sort of good stuff.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're going to take one quick commercial break. You're listening to Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Golini and myself, Carl Lanore. We'll be right back.
Have you tried Carbolin yet? It's what the pros use. At EFX Sports, we know athletes and we know what it takes to safely fuel their performance. That's why we created Carbolin, the ultimate formulated to win carbohydrate drink. Whether you want to quickly carb load before a big competition or you want to recover faster after a workout, Carbolin is the answer. Carbolin is sugar-free, gluten-free, and caffeine-free. Best of all, you can try Carbolin right now absolutely free. Just head over to getcarbolin.com and sign up to receive a free sample of this amazing carbohydrate formula. Once again, that's getcarbolin.com. GetCarbolyn.com.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Welcome back to Science for Humans. We're talking about vitamin B3, niacin, real niacin, with my co-host, Dr. Jeff Golini. So let's talk about some of the signs of deficiency, because some of them, like most B vitamins, are very, very obvious, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And niacin is one of those that if you do experience these symptoms, it's a serious sign. Like I said, more than 50 metabolic processes require niacin. The good news is that, in developed countries, we usually eat enough of the foods that contain niacin, but here's some of the symptoms. The first one is skin signs. You will actually get lesions that will start appearing on your body. Obviously, those could come from other things, but if you start to get lesions and swelling and sores, that is a niacin deficiency. Another one is mucous membrane symptoms, where your mucus membranes of your mouth.
Yeah, try saying it 3 times fast. Yeah, mucous membrane. Beetlejuice.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyhow, we'll start to protrude out. You'll get edema of the tongue, increased salivation, pain in the mouth. Sometimes you can get these ulcerations on your cheek, within the lower lip, under the tongue. So anything that happens around that mouth area, where you're getting sores and things, that could be a deficiency of niacin. Lots of gastrointestinal symptoms, constipation, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, abdominal discomfort, all, again, signs of niacin deficiency. Even if you find blood in the stool, those are usually from some type of ulceration that, again, could be from a niacin deficiency. And then you got a whole array of central nervous system problems, everything from paranoia to confusion to depression, impaired consciousness. So just an array of deficiencies.
And that pellagra is nasty. I mean, people's skin get covered in almost scaly, dead skin all over their body, right? I mean, it's
it is. Yeah,
but we don't see pellagra anymore because, like you said, in today's culture, even in areas of the world where they don't get a lot of food, there is enough niacin in most things today to keep you from developing frank diseases like that, right?
Yeah, and especially, in America, we eat meat, whether it be fish, chicken, beef, and those are some of your highest sources of niacin. So, any fish, lots of niacin, chicken, turkey, so a lot of people get their niacin fix probably at Thanksgiving and probably lasts for the whole year, know.
Yeah.
Pork, and then if you eat liver, livers are high in niacin, peanuts, and then things such as mushrooms, green peas, sunflower seeds, and avocados.
Now, how much niacin do you need to stave off? Because this is the discussion that we get into, you and I, a lot when we talk about these things, right? There's the minimal dose that you need just to exist, and then there are doses that seem to allow people to thrive. So what's the smallest amount of niacin you need to get in your daily intake just to not develop diseases related to niacin deficiency, do you think?
I think this is one where the percent daily value actually is accurate. A lot of the other ones, I don't think they're very accurate. But for niacin, I think it's accurate, which is about 20 milligrams per day. Just in 100 grams of fish, which is, 4.5 ounces, you get over the percent daily value.
Excellent.
So I think it's pretty easy for most people to not be deficient. That's why you don't see a lot of these serious signs. But, now we talk about, people who are vegetarians, again, nothing against, being a vegetarian, but this is where, when we start going on fad diets or we start limiting, a healthy nutrition plan, this is where we really get into a lot of deficiencies. Or I can't tell you how many people I talk to that they only eat one meal a day. I mean, they just get too busy. I mean, it's important to eat.
Right. Let's talk about performance now for a second. So niacin is like a lot of the B vitamins. It's water soluble, which means that it's in your body for maybe hours after you consume it. Is that right?
Yeah, it's probably in and out within an hour or two,
Okay. So if you were going to use niacin, let me tell you what I do, and then you tell me if I'm crazy. I got a closeout. Sundowner had 1,000 milligram niacin tablet that is supposed to be time released. It's got a special coating on it that just makes it break down slower in your body. It's not the one that the doctors prescribe that's modified, so it has liver enzyme issues. I chew half of it and swallow the other half whole, and I usually get to the gym in the morning, and I am slightly flushed. I have a little redness in my face, and the truth is, if I do that 3 days in a row, I don't get flushed anymore because it has an effect on prostaglandins, which, by the way, if you have seasonal allergies, you may want to experiment with taking niacin as a supplement because it seems to do something to prostaglandins and depletes them so you don't get allergic reactions as frequently, but that's another issue. I take it right before I go to the gym, and I definitely feel like I can train harder. I feel like my heart can pump harder. But should I be taking it post-workout too, you think? Or is there enough niacin in that dose that it's going to carry me through the rest of the day since it's water-soluble and it's gone?
Well, because you take half of that tablet and you swallow it whole, you are going to get some time release. If it's coated, usually it's some type of an enteric coating that will break down in the intestine, so it basically bypasses the stomach. So I think, that's a good dose. But if you've never tried niacin, don't do what Carl did. Find like 25 milligrams.
Yeah.
And probably cut that in half because the first time you take it, it's like anything, that flush, is a little scary.
So here's the funny story. So this is probably like 8-9 years ago when Dr. Lewis Heiser told me the story about Gatorade and niacin. The research they did in Florida was 200 milligrams of niacin every 15 minutes, and they monitored, intra-workout blood levels of growth hormone. So I thought, I'll try that. So the first day I show up at the gym, I take 200 milligrams of niacin, and I looked like a lobster. I looked and then I had to take it every 15 minutes. It drove me crazy. I couldn't do it. But again, if you take niacin with regularity, that flushing seems to dissipate, right?
It does. Your body kind of adapts to it. It's not like something brand new. So, the first several times. But again, if you haven't used niacin, and you haven't used any B vitamins, as we talked about a few weeks ago, shotgun theory, multivitamin,
Yes.
VitaDrive, where you get a little bit of everything. If you are on that and you want to, increase your niacin, then start out with a lower dose, 25 to 50 milligrams, and then work your way up. If you can get up to 500 milligrams, before a workout, again, you're going to have more blood flowing. You're going to feel better. You're going to get better pumps. Remember that niacin is essential for the conversion of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates into usable energy. So very important for that. So by taking it beforehand, again, the more energy you have for exercise, the better.
Let's plug that VitaDrive offer. Is that still good?
You know what? Why not?
So Dr. Jeff just spontaneously did this, I think, on the last show, and we've been promoting it on Super Radio now for some time. But VitaDrive is a multivitamin that is designed for hardworking athletes, and it's $16 off if you use the coupon code DRJEFF, Dr. Jeff. You get it for $5.95 plus shipping. It's ridiculously cheap. So check it out. Go to All American EFX. Go to any of the banner ads on Super Radio. That'll take you to the All American EFX website, and then just search for VitaDrive, VITADRIVE. Use the coupon code DRJEFF and get it for $5.95. Try it yourself. Then you don't have to worry about what B vitamins you should be taking. It's all in there.
And again, it's really complex as we are going through this month, all these different B vitamins, for you to go out there and to buy all these individual. That's why I put this product together, was to make it easy for people. It's already in the right ratios that most people need. I call it the shotgun theory because maybe you aren't deficient in B6. It's in there. It's not going to hurt you to have a little bit of extra. And as Carl said, it was just kind of a top of the whim. I got a whole warehouse full of this stuff. And, again, I think you'll enjoy it. It's my favorite product. I developed this product over 20 years ago and have not changed the formulation. So how about that?
Yeah. And you know what? This is a foundational supplement. You build on this. And, multivitamins, the reality is that there were studies done on multivitamins not too long ago that were saying that they're worthless. They're not worthless. You can't just stop there. You can't just expect to take a multivitamin and think, oh, I'm covered, and have a crappy lifestyle and a crappy diet. But you take a multivitamin as a jumping off point, and then you add the things in that you think you need for your specific lifestyle. And if you're a hard training athlete, you need more of everything that the average person has. You
Absolutely.
need more of it.
And the whole concept behind this show is, teaching lifestyle changes. There is no magic anything. It all comes down to changing your lifestyle through nutrition, training, supplementation.
Yeah. Dr. Jeff, as always, thank you so much for a great show on vitamin B3, niacin, and hopefully people will start adding it to their intake.
Well, thank you, Carl. Have a good day.
See you next week.